counting on you. What are girls for?
All right. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Critics Collective. I'm Eddie Lingo, known as Legacy Lingo. We got Iris and Mayte. Today, we are actually going to be discussing Woman of the Hour, which is now available on Netflix. All right. If you guys enjoy watching these episodes, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and join the collective community. We look forward to hearing from you guys, and every little activity helps promote the page. Okay. So let's just go ahead and get right into this. Woman of the Hour is based on a true story. The IMDB synopsis reads, Cheryl Bradshaw, a single woman looking for a suitor on a hit 1970s TV show, chooses a charming bachelor, Rodney Alcala, unaware that behind the man's gentle facade, he hides a deadly secret. And that is not accurate. IMDb got me again. She was not looking for a suitor. She was an aspiring actress looking to be seen. But anyway, IMDb got me again, and I'm just going to keep that trend going because I believe it makes people laugh. I believe it makes people happy that I look stupid reading these. All right, so let's go with the initial impression. Mayte, let's start with you. What was your initial impression when you came across this movie?
My initial impression, honestly, I don't know. I feel like because it's part of, with Netflix, it's either hit or miss. So, and serial killer movies, it's also another hit or miss for me. So I was like, I feel like sometimes the pacing can be very slow. It could get a little boring. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did have to watch this in 2 sittings to complete it because I did fall asleep and have to start it, where I left off.
Right.
But I wouldn't say it's probably because of the movie. It's just more so it is a slow pacing.
Are you getting into your rating? Because we asked you for your initial impression.
I'm sorry. It's getting late. You know what I'm saying? My initial impression.
You know what? You've kicked that door open. You might as well run on through it. Go ahead. Get into the ratings.
Just the pacing for me.
I need to know.
So my initial impression was, let me try to bring it back. Yeah, I just didn't know where it was gonna go. I thought it was just gonna be very slow pacing for me. So that was where, I guess that's where it just kind of got.
that's where initial impressions stopped. Yeah. Iris, what about you?
Yeah.
What was your initial impression, Iris?
So, initial impression was I had already known about this story in real life that happened in the 70s. So I was actually really excited to see this movie and see, how Anna Kendrick was going to play this story out. So for me, it was excitement because I am a fan of Anna Kendrick.
Mm-hmm.
That's my Twilight bitch. So I was fairly curious to see how this was going to turn out, and I was excited to watch it. I couldn't wait to see what my girl was going to do with it.
Okay. I actually did watch this one. I know it's been a string of movies that I've been joining you guys on. I haven't been able to watch. But this one, I was willing to take the risk because of the subject matter. I was familiar with the story to a certain degree. And then I also understood that this was Anna Kendrick's directorial debut. So I was definitely like, hey, let's see what we get here. So I was actually looking forward to watching it. All right. So, Mayte, let's start with you since we kind of got a little bit already. Go ahead and let us know how you felt about this movie.
So you already know how I feel about the pacing. So I actually didn't know that it was Anna Kendrick's directorial debut until the credits, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, makes sense, But I think she did a good job as far as the cinematography, especially towards the end of the movie, setting the pace, or not setting the pace, but setting the tone for the main villain of the movie. Just kind of getting that fear as a woman watching the movie. It's going to your car late at night is very scary sometimes, especially for me. Um, so I feel like that aspect was very real, very realistic. So that's a high for me. The low for me would be the pacing. I feel like it could have been a little bit more sped up, just to give us more. I wanted more of because we got a little bit of the backstory, but also with the current what's going on and setting and the setting up of the movie. But I wanted a little bit more of like what he actually did. To because it was multiple victims. So, but I didn't even know it was based on a true story. Again, I didn't know anything. I guess I went into it blind as far as the backstory of it,
Mm-hmm.
but it was done. I liked it. It was done pretty well.
Okay, awesome. Iris, come on. Let me know. How'd you feel about it?
So I would have to agree in regards to lows, with what Mayte say, the pacing of it. There were parts where I was like, because I felt like I was gonna doze off a little bit because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's get to the freaking point. Um, Pacing did kill me. Um, in regards to my highs, I would say I do like the back and forth between the timeline, like flashing forward to him being on the show, to going back to, hey, these are some of the things he was doing outside and prior to joining the show. So I liked the play on it, with going back and forth in the timeline. Um, and I would have to say that the last biggest scene with the young lady who was in his car,
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that got incorporated into the movie because, of course, there are other women that he did hurt and murder and stuff that that they could have added to this movie. But I'm really glad that Anna decided to add that, the like last girl, and I say that with quotations because, of course, he did make probation and freaking went out there and started murdering other people.
Mm-hmm.
But the way she survived, so smart. It was smart. It was literally reverse psychology. Like, if what just happened was okay, we're cool, we're going to be friends. And she used that situation to her advantage. And, like, I, I don't know, I guess her survival instinct there, how she played that because it kicked in, I don't know, it like resonated with me. Like, on how bright she was, especially for someone who was supposed to be so young, that she was able to outsmart this person.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, this bitch is street smart. Yes. Like, it resonated with me for some reason. Not that I've ever been through a situation like that ever,
Thank God.
but yeah, thank God, knock on freaking wood. But I did. I like that whole situation, like that whole story. I felt it deep inside for like all women. And I was like, yo, like, mama, you did your thing. Like, good freaking job. You survived, you know? And there were so many more women out there that did not. And not just women, but children that did not, you know? So that scene, that was a high for me, you know? Um so in regards to like how they incorporate the woman of the hour in the beginning who's going to be on the show, I feel like some of the backstory that they gave us a little unnecessary because no one really gives a shit on what was going on in your life prior, in at least in that depth that they were trying to give us. I feel like if Anna would have just started from her, just, hey, she's already on the show and this is the stupid crap she's dealing with, and then we just focused on the guy and the murders, I think that's all we really needed. You know, so but yeah, but for this being Anna Kendrick's like first movie to direct, I really don't think she did that bad of a job. But of course, like I've stated before, prior to us starting this review, you know, the more she practices, the more she, you know, does this, you know, who knows, she may be even one of the female greats. Because for this being one of her first movies, I don't think she directed too badly for this.
Absolutely, I agree. So, for me, my highs in this movie was actually definitely her choice of direction. I love the shot choices that she chose, the way she was able to create tension when some of instead of making it gory, which everybody is their go-to now, or making it graphic, you know, there was a lot of times where you just kind of understood what was happening. Then you slowly get that shot of seeing a little bit of the physicality, but not much. Things were just the way it was shot. The overhead shot from one of the apartment scene, I thought it was beautiful. And then when they did get into it, by that point, it was done. It wasn't going to be anything brutal, really dragged out. And then I love the consideration for somebody that may have been through this could be watching. So you don't really want to trigger them by trying to give the most graphic visuals. The suggestion alone is already making me uncomfortable, and I've never been through anything like that. I'm a dude, and it still made me uncomfortable watching the women go through this. And I thought she did a great job of really, really showing that. I also thought there was a scene where she was having a conversation with a guy, and once it got awkward, it felt like nobody else was in that restaurant with him. And at first I thought it was a mistake with the directing. And I was like, did everybody just leave all of a sudden? Why is it so fucking quiet? Nobody's moving in the background. And it stood out to me. So I thought they messed up with their editing or with the directing. And then I realized they were just trying to make it super uncomfortable and awkward because of the way the tone shifted. And I thought that was phenomenal. Also, I thought she did a really good job of showing how men just being men. You know what I'm saying? Not especially then. It's still the same today. I mean, there's some progression, but men just doing what men want, men saying what men want to say, not respecting women. You know, that's what made it, for me, what made it most intense. The killer was just, even when you had like 5, 12 feet, 15 feet distance from him, he would still just be approaching. He was just doing what he wanted. And it just made you feel like, oh shit, like I'm trying to get away, but this guy, he won't stop. And I thought she did a great job with that. Now, as far as my lows, I felt like the writing was the problem. It wasn't necessarily directing. And I don't know if she had if she had to fight against the writer on this or not. Cause as me being an independent director, sometimes the writers and the creators don't want to budge, and you just got to give them the best quality you can with what the writing is. So, excuse me. The problem I had with the writing was the jumping back and forth in time. I understand why they did it in the end, but at first it was bothering me. I was okay with the depth of the backstory they gave her. Her depth and her backstory to kind of help you understand why she would go on a show that she would never be seen on. You know, they really wanted you to just feel like this is the last ditch, desperate opportunity to be seen because she's been out there failing as an actress. So I got all of that. I was cool with that. The problem is how we started off in Hollywood, 1978. Then we jump forward to some part of California in 1979. Then we go back to New York, 1971. Then we go up to New York, 1977. And I'm like, okay, wait. And then we're back and forth to the present. Then we're back to 79. And then we're back to somebody else's flashbacks. We don't know when that happened. So that was kind of bothering me at first. But as it ended, it did kind of make sense, but it still didn't. It still took me out of it. I was just like, oh man, I got to keep track of this. I'm like writing down dates and shit, or I'm noticing like, okay, we're in 79 again, you know, stuff like that. And it was because of the situation of our main character on the show was in 78. It bothered me that they were already showing our killer in 79 still doing his thing. You know, so I was like, it was kind of a spoiler for me. Like, this situation is not going to be resolved here. And that kind of disappointed me that they led into that. I rather them not give dates. I don't know. Honestly, I had to think that through. I don't know how I would tell it. But my biggest low on the killer situation is the way it ended. I know, Irish, you said you liked the way that girl used that situation. But in my opinion, what should have happened, whether it's true or not, we know in when you retelling the stories, they have to lace in some fiction in order to tie a story together. And what I would have rathered is that moment that she was able to take advantage where the killer was going through his emotional thing. I'm not going to say what because I don't want to spoil. We should have seen moments like that with the other killings, other situations. Because other situations, he did his thing, and then when somebody was revived, it was just so he could do it again. There was never an opportunity. So this situation came out of nowhere to me. It seemed like I was like, what the hell's going on? Why are we getting this? Why is she getting this opportunity? This doesn't make sense. And if I would have liked personally, if we'd seen moments like that before, imagine if when that person comes to, but they're still so horrified and looking at him like a monster that he no longer has that emotion, he becomes the monster again and then resumes. Great. But then when this girl decides to take the situation, be like, hey, and the way she handled it, it makes him shift. That would have made more sense to me. So even though this is true, I was still yelling like, well, this is some bullshit because it doesn't add up to the guy we've been getting this entire movie. And it bothered me. It took me out again. But it's based on a true story. People do weird shit. And I have to accept it for what it is. But that's all I'm going to give you for House Notes because I've talked too much. I'm just I haven't done a review in a while. So, it's just getting it all out of my system. You know what I mean? All right. So let's go ahead and rate this. I'm interested to see what numbers you guys are going to throw at it. Our accolade system is a 5-point system, and we give out accolades as if they are trophies. All right. 5 accolades being excellent, a must watch, highly recommend. 4 accolades, good, worth watching, but has notable flaws. 3 accolades, average, some enjoyable moments, but lack significant impact. 2 accolades, below average, some redeeming qualities, but generally disappointing. 1 accolade, poor quality, not recommended. 0 accolades, horrible movie. All right. So, Mayte, how many accolades you going to give it?
It's a 3 for me. It's not a 2. It's a 3 for me.
It's a 3. Average, some enjoyable moments, but lacks significant impact.
Yeah, I just feel like it wasn't like I feel like, just kind of looking back at the movie and just hearing what you guys, your thoughts on it too. I do feel like it would have been a much better movie if it was just really about the lost girl. You kind of just went with that and maybe gave backstory from other victims and incorporated the woman of the hour part. But it was just a lot of, because for me also, it's like, what was the point of the woman? Because even when someone recognized him, nothing, what happened? So it's
Right.
like, what was the point of that? So
I got you. I got you. I was trying not to say that part because it would have just maybe hurl into a whole nother aspect. But I'm glad you pointed that out because, yeah, the woman of the hour. Anyway, so Iris, well, what's your rating? How many accolades you gonna give it?
I'm giving it 3 as well.
Okay. You want to elaborate as to why, or you just...
So for me, I would say I understand you guys, or let me not say both of you, but Eddie, you had explained how you didn't like the timeline change going back and forth. And that was actually the best part for me. I liked the going back and forth, because it just gave us that like, yo, he was on this show, but it didn't stop there. Like, homie got away, even with being on TV. Like, the fuck? So, but as as we've all mentioned, like some pacing just was like, damn. And then, there was some parts that just didn't need to be included and others that should have been more enhanced. So,
Yeah.
So definitely I would say a 3 for this one.
I respect it. I also am going to give it 3 accolades. I felt like the as far as the visuals and the way it looked, like I said, the shots that Anna Kendrick used, the acting was on point. Our killer actually did come off with creepy killer vibes to me. I think he did a good job. When his tone shift, I was uncomfortable, and I'm a dude, like and I was still looking like, girl, you better get out of there. This motherfucker making me feel uncomfortable. So I thought that they did a great job with that. It was just a lot of the things, moments with the writing. There's some other stuff I won't get into because I would end up spoiling, but there were moments of just the way the story was telling or reactions of certain characters, things, tone shifts. I was just like, I had a lot of questions, or I would have just done it a different way. So three for me as well. All right. So again, this was Woman of the Hour. It's available on Netflix. Anna Kendrick directed it, and she stars in it. I definitely think everybody should give this a watch, and then let us know in the comments how you felt about this movie, how many accolades you would give it. And then we will, of course, interact with you and keep that conversation going. All right, thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Critics Collective. I got Mayte, Iris, I'm Legacy Lingo, and we will see you guys on the next one.